Okay, so I've been in the field of software for a very long time at this point, and throughout all the different endeavors that I've had, I've been lucky enough to actually have some decent success with a handful of different products that I've made maybe over the last 10 years. And so I want to talk about some of the things that I have learned throughout these lessons and hopefully pass them on to you guys so that you can save time and hopefully make some money and build profitable applications from the first day when you bootstrap them. So if you guys are new to the series here, basically what I'm building is Ferryman, and Ferryman is a SaaS product. We're trying to document going from $0 a monthly recurring revenue to $10,000 a monthly recurring revenue. And I want to document the entire journey and tell you guys everything that I'm thinking, feeling, how it goes, the lessons I learned, etc. So hopefully you can do the exact same thing. But Ferryman is basically a way for you to cross-post all your content and go viral hopefully everywhere. So the idea is that you basically sign up, you connect your accounts, and then you only post on your favorite platform the way that you already know how to. So I like to post on X, I post on X, Ferryman detects that I posted on X, and it varies my content to all kinds of different platforms like LinkedIn, Threads, Mastodon, and more. And you guys could basically do the exact same thing. If you're interested in trying it, you could sign up with the code BREAKSTUFF for 1 month free. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. But what I do like to do at the beginning of these videos is sort of update you guys on the journey. And so we are a little bit over, or just under, I guess, $1,200 at MRR. So literally our last video, I think we had just crocked 1,000. What's funny is that we went up to 1,350 or so, and then we sort of slid back down. So unfortunately, I kind of got busy right around this period. And so I think that contributes to the idea of us going back down and ironically hitting $1,000 of MRR again now. But that's okay. And I think that shows the reality, right? If we actually look at even the churn, this is sort of the reality of a SaaS product. And there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be good things and bad things. And that's sort of how it goes. That's just the name of the game. I think especially when you're doing like a B2C thing, I think consumer churn is pretty high from what I've heard, at least from friends, and now kind of experiencing even. But it's okay. You know, like this is how it's going. We're going to try and grow this to $10,000. Again, I'm trying to document every single thing. So if you guys are interested, subscribe and follow the journey. And so really, I think the first point that this really comes down to, and you have to be willing to do this, is you have to actually be willing to put time in to win these kinds of games. I think that really the biggest prizes are at the end of the longest paths in life. And this is something that I've learned time and time again. And I've especially learned this as I've built different things. So I've built many different things throughout my time in software so far. And again, a lot of them have made money. And I think part of that is just because I've been willing to work on them for a long enough time horizon. You can't imagine or think going into this that you're going to build an application in 24 hours and all of a sudden make $30,000 overnight. Does it happen? Sure, it happens to some people. I think the surest fire way to actually get to a profitable application is just committing yourself to building something for the long term. And I think within this point, the most important thing really to do is, I guess, twofold. The first thing is that you want to make sure that you're operating in a space that A, you're interested in, and B, that you know. And the reason why you want to do this is because if you're not interested in building the thing, if you're not interested in the area that you're orbiting, there's no possible way realistically that you're going to be continuing to work on this for the long term. And the second reason is that if you don't actually know the area that you are building something in, not only are you not going to be interested in it, but you're not actually going to understand the problems of that area or that the customers have in that space. And so it's already hard enough to build something that's successful. It's already hard enough to build a business that makes money. If you don't commit to doing something for the long term and you also don't build something in an area of your own expertise, you're basically just making it that much harder on yourself to begin with. So you really have to commit to doing something for the long term. This is something that I learned early on. And I think especially with something like Ferryman, which I'm building now, which if you guys aren't aware, this site actually looks the way that it looks right now because I've been working on this for like maybe 8 months, right? Even here in this video, in this demo, you can see that this is what it looked like basically a week after launching. Maybe I should probably remake this video. And again, this is not what the site looked like, right? This took me a lot of different time. Now we have people actually using the site, which is awesome. Tons of different people using it, but this did not look like this, right? Overnight. And it's taken a long time. I think I started working on the very initial idea of Ferryman at the very, very end of November. I think it was like literally Thanksgiving. But thankfully, we've had a lot of success so far. And it's only become literally because I've just been willing to sit here and work on this and to chip away at this problem over a long period of time. So don't forget that, really stick with that, because that is probably the easiest way to win any game in life, whether it's related to software or anything else. You have to be willing to do something longer than anyone else, and you will probably beat them just by default. I think the last thing that I would reframe about staying in the game long enough is that you shouldn't worry too much about hitting your goals. And I know that sounds insane, so I'm going to explain, but basically I think what I try to do is I just try to think to myself, what's one good thing that I could do for Ferryman today? And that always ends up snowballing into more stuff. What's helpful is literally the track record. Like I've told myself, if I could just keep working on this application, if I could keep talking about this application, if I could keep marketing this application, application, if I can keep making it better and more useful, things will get better. I will get more users. I will get more people paying. I will get more people liking it. I will get more people signing up. And all those things have been true. So it's literally proof that I think it's good to be goal oriented, but don't get lost in the sauce. Like make sure that you're just doing good stuff. And if you do good stuff long enough, it really will work. There's like a giant compounding effect. And I think I'm hopefully about to start experiencing that. Even looking at this for like the last 8 months or something, it is amazing to me how much I've done. And this isn't like in a way that's trying to flatter myself. It's more just the fact that like, if you do this, if you literally start today, start building a product, it doesn't have to be amazing today, but if you just keep chipping away at it, you will really be in a place that's amazing 8 months from now. And for myself, I'm even thinking to myself, wow, if I could do this in 8 months, I wonder what this will be like in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years. So you have to think that way. So don't worry too much about the goals, worry more about the inputs and the things that you're doing. Like just worry about doing something good every day and moving the needle forward just a little bit. And I think you'll be really surprised at what you can do over a long enough time horizon. The second thing that you really need to do when you're building applications is you have to talk to people about what you're actually building. And so you should talk to people who are your ideal customer, but you should also just talk to random people and get opinions. Just because everybody has an opinion, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should listen to it, but you shouldn't also be so ignorant to think that you are always right about every single thing that you do. And so a great way to do this too is also have some sort of mechanism that users can actually submit feedback, because you want to make sure that whatever is actually happening for users, you can know about, right? If there is a feature that they want, they should be able to tell you about it somewhere. So having a support email, having a way for them to reach out to you on socials is really helpful. And especially at the very beginning, that's a great thing about products that you build from this ground up, is that if you listen to people, you kind of have endless feature requests, endless things to fix, endless directions to go. And that really helps you fuel the product that you're building, because it's not all coming from your own brain, right? You're kind of crowdsourcing the best possible product from everybody else who might be wanting to use it. So it's really helpful when you talk to different people, because then it also removes the guessing, right? Instead of thinking that someone's going to want this specific feature, going and building it, and then no one's using it, you can actually get the initial feedback right at the ground floor, right? So you could just know from the different people that you talk to, here's 5 different things that you want to be able to support for all these different people. And then you can go and implement it, and hopefully you don't feel like you're wasting your time or sort of gambling if this thing that you're going to build out is actually worth your time and effort, because who knows if anybody's actually going to be using it. The other great thing about talking to your users is it really serves as marketing, right? You can actually go in and tell people about your product. You can practice pitching it. You can actually understand maybe alternatives to the product that you're building, what people are using and why. And that helps you understand like other things you can build, right? Or like why someone might be choosing a different product over your own. It basically gives you like an entire wealth of knowledge, but you need to make sure that you're talking to your customers, because that is what's going to give you your roadmap. If you talk to people and you know what they want, you know what your users need, you're probably going to build a better product because of it. So go and talk to your users, make a habit of doing it constantly, and you'll probably always have work to do, and you'll probably have a product that is going to do pretty well if you're willing to listen to your users and build what they want. The third thing with building profitable companies is you obviously have to be profitable, which means that you have to charge people money. And so some people will feel really uncomfortable with this idea, but I think it's actually the best possible litmus test that you can have for if your application is actually doing something and solving a problem that's worthwhile, right? There's no better test to me of if your product or software is worth someone's money than if they will actually take out their hard-earned cash and give it to you. Whether that's literally or metaphorically taking out a credit card, I think that really is sort of the best test to know that if your software is worthwhile and is worth $10 a month, let's say. So don't feel weird about this. I think some people feel weird from like a moral perspective of, charging people money, but I think that is largely how the world goes around. I think that's how everybody ends up eating and living. And I think especially if you are delivering enough value, people are more than happy to give you a couple bucks a month or whatever it may be for the product that you're delivering. But again, just remember that there is a correlation between how much money you can charge and how much value you deliver for customers. And if people are not willing to pay for your product, I think that is something that you should absolutely dig into, figure out why, talk to the customer. What is it? Is it that the price point is too high? Is it that this pain that you're experiencing from this problem isn't actually painful enough to get a solution to it? There's a million different reasons why, but you should figure out what it actually is. I think too, having paying customers is also really helpful as well, obviously because you want to get paid, but also because people who are paying for a service are probably going to feel more entitled to getting the value out of that service. So you will probably start hearing people complain about your product or why certain things break or why things don't work the exact way that they want it to. And I think this is really helpful because it keeps you on your toes and makes sure that you're always improving the product. And it gives you some really direct, honest feedback from people who basically deserve the best possible experience because they are paying you for it. So don't feel weird about charging money. You have to get comfortable with it and use it as a litmus test to understand that A, are you solving a problem that is painful enough to take out your credit card for? And B, if you're not being paid yet, figure out why. You're probably just not delivering enough value, and that's okay. But you can build up to that value and you can give more value to the customer. So hopefully they will be willing to pay you. The next thing that you need to do to build something that is a profitable application, I think, is to use and leverage tools and to find the tool set especially that works best for you. And this is going to differ for every single person, but I'd like to talk sort of briefly about the tools that I use and how they've been able to help me, because I think they'll be able to help you as well. So for me, this is the first tool that I use. It's this machine that's on my desk. I've basically been daily driving this every single day for the last like month and a half, I think, since I last got it from Framework. But basically this is the Framework 13 Pro. And in my opinion, this is basically the best Linux laptop that you can buy. Framework was nice enough to send me out a pre-production unit. You guys can go look it up and check it out if you're interested, but I've absolutely loved this machine. And you need to find a machine that you love, because obviously you are going to spend a ton of time on this machine. But the other thing that I think is great about all the machines that I use and all the devices, my phone included, is that I do all my work in the cloud. So even though I love this machine and it's great, the real work sort of happens in this VPS, this cloud machine here. So now to sort of get into this machine, I guess, a little bit, let's just jump over here to this Excalibur to show you guys how this works. But essentially what we have here is we have Tailscale. And so Tailscale is the software that basically allows all my devices to communicate together as if they're on the same network. And what's great about this is that means that I can seamlessly access my VPS from my Framework laptop or my other devices that you can imagine sort of in this drawing here as well. So then from within this VPS, we have tmux, which is a terminal multiplexer. And this basically allows me to have long standing SSH sessions and run long running programs without them dying basically. So again, it's really nice because I can just basically come in here, and now this is inside the VPS as I'm SSH'd in. And this sort of segues into the other tools that I use. This is probably no surprise, but I use things like Claude Code, and I also use things like Codex. And you can see like I'm running my application here. But what's really great about this is that I can basically use any of my devices to easily SSH into the VPS, and I can continue the work that I am doing, right? So here I can jump into any of these different sessions. They don't die thanks to tmux, and I can be extremely productive when I'm on my phone, my laptop, my many other laptops, or my desktop machine that's outside of this room. And it's just a great experience for me. I've been doing this probably for over a year now at this point, and I really loved it. And if you've worked at big tech companies, this is sort of the setup that they have as well. And I've just really loved it. So I won't go into too much more detail there, but if you guys are interested, you guys can check out a setup like this. And the last tool that I want to mention here, I think, is just a tool that helps me stay extremely organized, and they are also the sponsor of today's video, and that would be Linear. Linear has been a massive game changer for me. They've been super helpful for me to declutter my brain and get out all the thoughts that I need to onto a virtual piece of paper. I've mentioned this before, but basically before Linear, I was just sending myself a message in a Telegram private chat to document all the work that I needed to do for Ferryman, which was absolutely absurd. It was extremely unwieldy. It was insanely inefficient. And I also messed up certain things. Like I would lose work because I would delete a message that I didn't mean to delete. From there, I moved to a spreadsheet to do work with my brother-in-law. And obviously that got extremely unwieldy as well, as I started getting hundreds of different rows in an Excel sheet. Trying to track all that work was a massive nightmare. But now, thanks to Linear, it is not only easy to organize my thoughts, but it's also really enjoyable. It feels really good moving things from to do all the way to done. And Linear is becoming even more and more powerful these days. They've just released a few other things you can do. So one of the things that they released is basically code review. So now instead of having to go from Linear to GitHub, I could just review all the diffs that I have or all the PRs that I have directly inside of Linear, which is a massive productivity boost, because now instead of switching between different tools, I could just do most of my work within Linear. And on top of that, they also just very recently released coding sessions. So now you can literally go as far as tagging Linear and having a Linear agent do the work for a certain issue, or even triage an issue, investigate the cause of the problem, write a fix, open a PR, and actually ship the solution for you. So they have been a massive game changer, and they've been very supportive the entire time throughout my Ferryman journey, and I really appreciate them. So if you guys are interested in using Linear, I highly suggest it. You guys can get 6 months of Linear business free by using the link in the description. And thank you so much to Linear for sponsoring today's video. The last point that I want to make is that you are going to run into problems. It's not really a matter of if, but it's a matter of when. And I think just remember, that's a good problem. Like if you have customers experiencing problems, well, it's not ideal that they're experiencing a problem. You do have a customer who is experiencing that problem. So that's a little bit different, right? It's kind of like a glass half full. But on a more serious note, like you are going to have real things that go wrong. You're going to have bugs in production. You might have an outage. You might have people churn, and probably honestly, all those things might happen. And that is to be expected. Obviously, you should mitigate that as much as possible, but that is the reality. If you operate a business and your business operates long enough and your business has any level of success, you're going to experience problems. So don't try to avoid them, but try to weather them. Try to be ready for them, try to expect them, and try to mitigate them when you do experience them. I've already had outages. I've already had problems go wrong. I've already, as you've seen, have churn, right? And just to prove it again, we have churn, right? There are things that are going quote unquote wrong, but I know that if I can keep working on this long enough, I really believe that this is going to be a thing that works. It's going to be a thing that solves a problem that people want a solution to. And I just know that it's okay if it's looking tough at a certain point. right? Because it will get better. And I really strongly believe that. And I think you can even see that in these different charts right now, right? So we had something that looked really, really good. And I think it still looks good. It was up and up and up. And now, we had a little bit of a downturn and we're bringing it back. And I think that's just the reality. That's how life goes. That's how everything happens. And that's to be expected. So don't avoid the problems, expect them, weather them, be ready for them, and you're going to be completely fine. But I hope this is helpful. I hope this is actually going to help someone else create a profitable SaaS. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.